Hi, everyone. I'm Joan Raymond, and this is A Heart for Writing. And today I am so excited. I have a guest who I've known him for several years. He has so many resources for children and for adults who want to write picture books, who want to illustrate. And let me just go ahead and introduce him. So today, my guest is Arree Chung. He lives in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, and he travels to schools across the country to encourage children to write stories, make art, and share their creative ideas. His most popular books are Ninja and Mixed. And Mixed uses color theory to discuss diversity, acceptance, and inclusion in a simple but powerful story. So let me bring on Ari. There you go. Hi. Good to
Hi,
see
Joan.
you.
Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, no problem. Now I met Ari in person way back in let's see, what was it, 2017 at SCBWI, which is Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators Convention, and I had actually been acquainted with him online through a Storyteller Academy in January of 2017, and the critique group that we formed in there, we're still together today. So, and
That's
one of the
awesome.
people I interviewed, Todd, was is one of the people. So
Yeah, it's
you brought
awesome.
an amazing group of people together. They're still writing stories. So
I love it.
now, as an artist, Ari, you've worked in a few places: Red Robot Labs, Big Fish Games, Walt Disney Imagineering, Research and Development, and Pixar. Amazing dream jobs, right?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely, working at Pixar and Disney are top of the list for a lot of people.
But you were somehow a little bit dissatisfied, right? Something,
Y-
something.
Yeah, well, at Pixar, I wasn't an artist, so I wanted to be an artist, and I saw this amazing uh, storytelling going on, and it helped me decide to go into art school. And then after art school, I worked in Imagineering, and it was a really good job in terms of you got to draw and paint, and but you didn't get to make your own stories. You didn't get to make your own work, and it's the same with the game jobs at Red Robot and CrowdStar. Worked on some mobile games, and they were really good jobs because you got paid to make art. But I just felt frustrated because I wasn't telling my own stories. I had my own ideas. You're working a full time job making other people's stuff. So it's at what point can you make something that you love, that you care about, you know,
Mhm.
and bring your own ideas to life. And that's when I finally was able to make that transition. I think that's what I've been focused on is helping other people make their own artwork as well.
Yeah, and that's pretty much when you started Storyteller Academy, right? Or somewhere after that?
Yeah. So after I got published, I want to start an online business as well. And so I actually started a different business, which we made wall decals out of children's book artwork. And that business, I had to shutter it because we just weren't making enough money. I didn't know how to do marketing and sales. We also had really high product price because we were manufacturing it here in the United States. Anyhow, I thought about like what is it that I love to do and what could I really help people with. And I had learned so much in my 5 years of pursuing a publishing deal that I knew I could help other people, you know, make better stories and get published. And all the intricacies that go into a picture book. So that was the beginning of Storyteller Academy.
Yeah, I remember the one that hooked me was it was making a picture, illustrate or writing your picture book, and a picture book dummy and everything. And it was like it was so amazing because it was just a perfect class. It was slow enough that I could follow it, that I actually made a story and drew it out on this dummy, and
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
I remember.
So cat can't sleep, yes.
Yes, I remember that.
um I still it's still on the computer because everybody says that cat needs to have more than just wanting to go to sleep. So I've still been, working on that one. But so talk more about Storyteller Academy. It now it's grown, it's huge. You have a lot more teachers. It's not just you teaching the classes. Tell everybody kind of what the resources are, because this is what I want everybody to know. We are going to talk about the books that you've done, but I want people
Great.
to know that there are amazing resources out there for those of us who want to write children's stories.
Yeah, so my dream for Storyteller Academy, my vision for it was to put together award-winning authors, illustrators, agents, editors, and for them to share the intimate creative process and secrets that they've learned over so many years, and basically help guide someone through learning how to make children's books and overcoming a lot of fears. So the first instructor that I invited on was Jim Averbeck, and he still teaches with us. And then from there, we invited Vanessa Newton, who is an amazing illustrator. We invited Ariel and Melissa, who are editors at Chronicle Books. We added Carter Higgins, who she and I share the same agent, and she's an amazing writer. And um, I know how to make children's books. I know how to illustrate, but I don't know everything. There's all these other folks who are experts at those things. Whether it be Tim McKenna, who's also a great rhymer and writes music. Isabella is also a great illustrator. So we just started inviting more folks to teach a specific subject that they know really well. Like Sage Blackwood teaches novel writing. I've never written a full novel. She's written several, and each one teaches their craft. They teach their own signature course, and then we organize them in a way where you have these 5 foundational classes that you take in the beginning, and then you progress to taking more advanced classes. It's just like a real college.
Mhm.
But I think we have something like 30 some teachers that have made courses and mini classes. We have a stable of 12 to 15 instructors that teach every year with us. And yeah, and so if you enjoy Storyteller Academy, you'll have a whole team of mentors, of story coaches that will teach you everything that you need to know.
And I remember you
So,
taught a business class too that was just amazing. It was,
oh, good.
I still draw upon those things because you are a good business person, and
Oh,
you
thanks.
know, and the thing is what I remember because we were with Storyteller Academy way back. I mean, we were the very second like cohort, I guess, if
You
you want
were.
to call it that. And, you had this vision, you always had this vision, you're like, "One of these days I'm gonna do this, and one of these days I'm gonna do that," and now, 6 years later, you've accomplished so much of what you wanted to do, and I'm sure there's your brain, I don't think it ever stops, so, you
No,
know.
it doesn't. That is true. The funny thing is, I think, when you're creative and you're entrepreneurial, those two things actually go together. It's sort of like when you're creative, whether it be a story or you have a vision, you have an idea for what you want to create and do. And when you're an entrepreneur, you also have like that vision for what this could be. I thought for Storyteller Academy, this is when I was just me. I was like, wouldn't it be cool if we had a curriculum? Wouldn't it be cool if we had a whole suite of classes and it's like Netflix where you can watch, not just watch the videos, but you can actually apply the lessons. You can have lesson plans and actually make your work and achieve your dreams. It was the thing that I wish existed that didn't exist. And so I always had that vision for it, and I'm glad I'm glad that a lot of people have joined, and we've been growing it, and we're not done yet. We're still just starting.
Oh, I'm
I actually
sure.
feel like we're actually in this phase where we're going back through our resources and making them even better.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think that happens because you go through seasons and then you suddenly tweak things, and then you
Hmm.
go to the next level. It's just
Yeah.
yeah, because that drawing class I took on perspective and everything else, it was, you are an amazing illustrator and drawer,
Hmm.
but you're also a good teacher, and that's the thing. Everyone, Jim, I took Jim's class, Vanessa's class, and I've taken the classes and I learned so much because what you did is you didn't try to do it all. You brought, like you said, you brought in the experts, and everyone is in their niche, and everyone is talking about the one thing they're passionate about. So that's what
Yeah.
made it really cool. Um, I want to talk about your books, and then I want to talk about the other school that you've started. So,
Okay.
uh, Ninja. Let's talk about Ninja.
Yeah.
Was this your first? This was your first one, right?
Yeah, it's my very first book, and it's about a kid who sneaks around the house and causes havoc, and is just in his own world playing, um, and then gets in trouble and gets a timeout. All my books come from some part of me. I was that kid that loved to sneak around and get into mischief, and no malicious intentions, but it was a big leap for me to make that book because I broke through a lot of things that held me back, meaning, my stories were too complicated before. They weren't kid relatable. I didn't know how to tell a full story. They weren't for that target audience. And Ninja really was the first time I kind of cracked that nut and was able to capture the innocence and playfulness of a child in a book
Mhm.
and put that into a story that has a beginning, a middle, and end. And then I got to make all the artwork, which was a lot of work, but it was also a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Put in all the things that you love about design and Japanese modern architecture, and yeah, and it was just a pleasure to make that book. The book sold really well, and it still makes royalties today. So that's,
that's
from a
awesome.
business standpoint, it was a really good investment.
And then you two other books came afterwards that were Ninja. Which
Yep.
ones were those again?
Ninja Attack of the Clan, and then we made a Santa Claus book, Ninja
Yeah.
Claus. Yeah.
And then I know you've done illustrations for other people, the Danger Gang, and I don't have
Mhm.
a picture of that, and because Steve Bramaguchi's, I've read his books and they're amazing. I just love the
Mhm.
illustrations. But then came this book. Tell us
Yes.
about this one. This one has a great story to it.
Yeah, so this book it was really inspired by my sister and her family. So my married Elliot. So my Chinese, Elliot is Caucasian, and they have two wonderful daughters, Peregrine and Juniper, and they're mixed. And I was riding my bike one day, and I was just thinking about them, and then I thought about color theory, and I thought, hey, color theory could be used to talk about diversity. And whenever you're creating a story, you're always thinking about, like, what is the problem in the story. And I know for a lot of mixed families that they come from different perspectives and different sides, and sometimes that can cause trouble and problems. But oftentimes when the families really get to know each other, and then if they have a child, everyone loves the kids, and they're able to see the other side and see things in a new way. And so that really was the inspiration behind the book. And so the book, um, it is about diversity, it is about sort of racism. Um, in the book, the red said the reds are the best, and then the other colors disagreed, and then they all segregated. And so one of the beautiful things about children's books is you really um, have to think about the themes and have to simplify. And so I really thought about, like, what does it mean to be racist? And essentially what it means is you feel like your kind is the best kind, superior in some kind of way. So I just put that into the story, and then I thought about how um, kids oftentimes bring us together. And and I think at the time, Obama was in office, and I had thought about how when he got elected, he brought a lot of people together,
Mhm.
through the message of yes, we can, and there's not a red state, there's not a blue state, there's the United States. And so those themes kind of made its way through the book, and it became a great book, and it's actually won awards. It won the FCGB award for the best children's book in the UK, and it's published in 14 countries and lots of different languages. And so it's really neat to just see the book grow. There's been schools that made plays out of it, and
Wow.
it just continues to spread. And I'm building a whole mix world of books. We had Remix come out this year, and I've got several other books that I'm planning on in the future.
And the simple thing is because I'm going to show the picture again,
Mhm.
because you've got just the three primary colors. And then when you mix, the primary colors, you get secondary colors. So then you'll have orange and purple and, oh my gosh, all of a sudden
Green.
yeah, green. Thank you. Brain freeze. And so it was simple to show that how when the reds and the yellows got together, they made orange, and when the yellow and the blue got together, they made green, but it was such a simple progression of, well, the reds weren't the best and the yellows weren't the best because look, now they have orange. And it would be easily to put it in a lot of different languages because it's so visual,
Mhm.
you know? And
Absolutely.
it's very simplistic. I know that they weren't simple to draw, but it's very simplistic
Mhm.
illustrations that really gets a point across. I just love Mix. I've got an autographed copy. I'm so thrilled. So one of the first ones to buy it because you told us, in fact, in Storyteller Academy, we watched you make this book. We watched it
That is true.
pretty much from concept to
Yeah.
publication, and so we all felt like, "Oh, it's part of ours too."
Yeah. That's the thing I love about Storyteller Academy is we teach what we do, and I teach the whole process of having an idea and making the dummy and making many drafts of the dummy and bringing your vision to life.
Mhm.
And you just do it through the creative process and hard work.
Yep, one step at a time.
Yep.
And now you're working on a graphic novel, and this is for middle grade, right? Which is like 8 to 12-year-olds? Okay,
Yep.
can you talk about that?
Yeah, it's titled Don't Cause Trouble, and it's based loosely based on a lot of experiences that I had as growing up as a Chinese American. So oftentimes I didn't feel like I was American. I didn't feel like I was Chinese because I don't really speak Chinese. And I had two awesome parents, but they were immigrants and they were struggling and doing the best they could. But we bought clothes from the thrift store. I didn't have cool clothes. I didn't have like the Nike Jordans. I didn't have, I had a bowl haircut. And so I really didn't fit in a lot of ways. Um, and we also didn't celebrate the typical American holidays. So early on, my parents never dressed us up for Halloween, and so there's just so many funny stories that go along with that. For instance, when I went to school, one time I was a really quiet, shy kid because I didn't want to cause trouble. My dad would always say, "Don't cause trouble," So I just didn't say anything. And then I didn't speak Chinese. Only spoke English. And when I got my class schedule, they stuck me in ESL.
Oh,
English is a second language. I don't want,
right.
I knew I didn't belong there, but I didn't say anything about it. And then so there's that, and I started
So
learning
you got an
Spanish.
A in class because you just learned it really well.
Well, they figured it out and transferred me, but, that was, like, one story. Another story is, um, when they had when you're in elementary school, you have the costume parade, and I didn't have a costume. And so, the teacher felt so bad that she, took a marker and put mustache drew a mustache on my face. And so I just walked around the parade with a mustache on.
Oh my
So
god.
pathetic.
Yeah.
Then later, my mom and so I had met a really good friend named Nilesh. He's Indian, and finally we were getting into like, let's go Halloween, let's go trick or treating. And so I dressed up as a doctor because I wanted to be a doctor when I grew up, and Nilesh dressed up like a lawyer because he wanted to be a lawyer when he grew up. He is a lawyer now. And then we went trick or treating, and as a doctor and lawyer, and everyone else is dressed up as like superheroes, So it's like the Asian kids that are like, "What do you want to, who do you want to be? I want to be a doctor." It's like
Yeah.
there's just so many funny antidotes and little stories like that. I fictionalized it,
Things
so it's
yeah. I was gonna say
But
things back then that might have been hurtful, but now you found a way to put a humorous slant on them because kids can
exactly.
identify with that. They can identify with the mustache that because they just can't afford a Halloween costume or something, you
Yeah,
know? And I
yeah,
think
and
that's what
that's
we do. You know, we put ourselves into our stories, the things that were hurtful, but now we
yeah,
can see it from another perspective.
yeah, yeah. That you take the things that were hurtful and troublesome, and you make sense out of them, and you make stories out of them. Those are the best stories because
Right.
you feel you remember the feelings and the angst and the hurt and also the humor in it, and with some perspective, you understand what it means in the broader picture, in the bigger picture, and so you're able to tell that story later.
Right. So now you have, well, actually, starting in April 2019, you started Creativity School. So let's talk about, and this is all for kids. So
Yes.
Storyteller Academy is for adults wanting to make picture books and novels and whatnot. But Creativity School is aimed at kids. So talk about Creativity School.
Yeah, so we started Creativity School in the beginning of the pandemic. I actually was going to teach a creativity camp during the summer, a physical camp with real, kids being there and everyone in person. And that camp got canceled because of COVID.
Mhm.
And then I thought, hey, why don't I maybe offer this online for free? I saw lots of parents and teachers saying, "But we don't know what to do with our kids. We don't know, we don't know how to keep them busy. They're driving me crazy. I'm trying to work at home." And so I thought, hey, I have programming for at least a week. Let me just teach this things for free. And back then, we didn't know how long the pandemic was going to last.
Yeah.
So 1 week turned into 3 weeks, 3 weeks turned into 6 weeks, 6 weeks turned into 3 months. And then I decided to launch a whole online school. So we have an online school where we provide everything from live art classes. There's a library of courses that kids can take on their own, and we also have lesson plans that we develop for teachers and homeschoolers.
And what ages of kids is this for mostly?
Yeah, so anywhere from 5 to 12, 13.
Okay.
So basically serve kindergarten through about seventh grade.
Okay. And I know, like, so you just had something that ended. What was that? It was a very art thing.
Yeah, so we every month we teach a different subject, and so in October we're teaching acrylic painting, and typically in the beginning of each month we have some free classes that people can try out, and
Mhm.
if they like it, then they can sign up. So we just had a couple of free classes for painting, and now the rest of the month we're painting different subjects and exploring different art principles. So on Tuesday, we just went over how to use contrast and patterns in paintings, and uh, and then this coming Friday, we're teaching kids color schemes, like split
Okay.
complementary color schemes and complementary color schemes. One of the main goals behind Creativity School is to teach kids real art lessons and design lessons, and teach. Um, I feel like everyone should learn how to draw and to see the world as an artist, because that way you can understand visual communication. And so that's one of our big goals is let's teach kids real art skills so that way they can be better thinkers, better designers, better storytellers, and they don't have to be artists at the end of the day, but art is involved in everything,
Yeah.
everything from the music that you listen to the apps that you use and how they're designed. um, so we just want to help kids grow their art skills and discover their passions.
Plus, kids are less intimidated than adults. Us as adults, we're like,
That's so true.
we're like, I can't do this. I can't do this. People are going to be looking at me. And kids are like, they just throw purple on a page and it's like, look, it's a dinosaur, and they're proud. So
Yeah, they're not afraid of trying, and sometimes that's the hardest part. Sometimes it's just starting.
yeah. exactly.
Yeah.
But somehow kids are not as intimidated. They haven't been brought up to feel that imposter syndrome yet or anything else like that. So,
Right.
and also in the description of this video, we're going to have social media links where you can find Ari, and then also links to his creativity school, the Storyteller Academy, so everybody can check it out. I seriously, a plug for Ari and everything he's doing. It's like, you won't be disappointed. I know I've taken classes from him. So I want to ask you, so you have a school for adults, school for kids. What types of transformations have you seen in both the adults and the children that have taken your classes?
Oh, so many. I mean, I think the biggest transformations in Storyteller Academy is people go from having an idea and maybe doubting themselves to finding some creative processes that work for them, and the light bulb goes on that, hey, it's not just talent. Like everyone has ideas and talent, but it's like if I learn this creative process, I can get over my fear of writing. We say these things like, oh, I can't draw, or I'm not an artist, or I'm not a writer, and it stops you right in your tracks, versus like when you start learning from a few folks who have done it and they show you exactly how they do it, and you start learning, oh, I can do this too. And so the biggest transformations have been people go from having an idea to getting an agent to being published. There's folks like Vicky Fang, who I think she's on her 13th or 14th book now.
Wow.
She publishes more books than I have. Um, but it's just so cool to see our students grow and bring their stories to life. There's a lady named Sarah Tobias who has a wonderful story that I've seen from a couple years ago, and I've seen it grow and develop visually. And it's a story that's near and dear to her heart about her sister who has a disability, and it's just beautiful just to see her tell that story and work on getting that made into a book. And then for kids, I'd say the biggest growth that I see in them is growing their confidence, growing their passions. Like they go from liking to draw, but to understanding a process, and then growing their imaginations and exploring and having fun. And then they're learning these subtle lessons along the way that through practice, that they can get better, and they get addicted to, like, I like getting better, I like making art. And they're learning how to become more confident, because once they know how to draw that shape and how these shapes fit together, then they feel like they can draw anything, and then they can
Yeah.
start drawing from their imagination, and it just grows their confidence.
I remember you talked about muscle memory a lot, and it's like, because you had us, I can't remember, maybe it was a bee or something that, and we just had to
Yeah.
draw it over and over and over again, and they look
Yep.
pretty cruddy at first, and then once you realize it's an oval, and I don't know, oval and a couple other things, you almost didn't think about it. You just did it, and you could do it really fast, you built our confidence, just by
Mm-hmm.
wow. And because I remember you always said you can learn to draw. You don't have to be born an illustrator, you can learn. And
Absolutely.
so that was like, well, maybe I can. Maybe he's got the confidence. I'm going to have to hold on to his confidence because maybe it'll transfer over to me. And it did. So,
Good.
um, so for parents with children who love to draw, what advice would you give them?
I would say to support them in their passion for drawing, and to have them take good classes where they learn how to think. Because drawing is thinking. You can't draw something unless you understand what it is and how to see the world, how to see shapes, and how to, as you said, put together muscle memory of shapes. I call it a visual vocabulary. And so I think if you have kids that love art and love drawing, is to enroll them into good classes that help them develop those skills and build those, not just build their skills, but build their way of thinking and their confidence.
Mhm. And what about adults that who want to draw or illustrate children's books? What advice would you give to them?
Well, definitely we have a lot of resources at Storyteller Academy, but it's learn from people who are doing it. Learn from people that you enjoy their books, and that have success in the marketplace. So I think we have over 30 something think I have over 35 individual um, story coaches. These are all award-winning authors and illustrators and agents that have worked inside the children's book industry for a very long time. Um, and I'd say basically learn from them, get involved in the community. And number one thing is apply what you learn, start making work, and that's how you actually get better. You take your lessons, you apply them, and then you learn what's working, what's not working, and you repeat that process.
You got to be cruddy before you can be good. I mean, you have to be bad before you can be good. Also, I know you guys have, I know you have critique groups, but you also have been mentored critique groups, right? Every once in a while, you have them with actually one of the award-winning authors.
Yeah,
So
that's
you
right.
can get feedback like, oh, wow, you can get feedback from someone that, um, not just a group of peers, but one of the
Mm.
instructors.
Yeah, and that's invaluable. I mean, sometimes you'll be stuck or you don't see something, and sometimes you just need like 5 minutes or 10 minutes of feedback, and it gets you unstuck, and you see a whole nother path. You see a whole
Mhm.
whole direction.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Um, one thing you mentioned, and I know every year you do this, you have a Black Friday? Is it Black Friday sale or
Mhm.
something? And I'm gonna write this in the description, but I wanted you to talk about it because this is gonna be coming out end of October, but then so it's about a
Oh,
month
awesome.
later.
Yeah, perfect. So we have a Black Friday boot camp. It's completely free, and basically it's a whole day of children's book training. And we basically teach some different subjects from our courses. They're real live events, and you get to participate that whole day. It's a pretty awesome day. You'll learn from 4 or 5 different award-winning authors and illustrators and agents as well. And at the end of Black Friday, we actually have a great sale. It's the best sale of the whole year. So if you've been wanting to, try out Storyteller Academy, or if you have been thinking about it, it's a great opportunity to test out and learn that day. That's number one thing, is we want you to learn, and then you can decide whether you'd like to take advantage of the amazing deal that we put together. We always put together a really compelling offer that it's just a great Black Friday deal, and this year's going to be pretty great too.
That's cool.
Without, yeah.
And when can people start signing up for that? Do you know?
Oh, I think actually you can sign up on our website, storytelleracademy.com,
Okay. Okay.
and
So
then
I'll have
always,
that in the description,
yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah. Okay.
yeah. And so
So
you can join the mailing list, and we'll definitely mail everyone out when they can sign up for the Black Friday event.
that's perfect. So do you have any other advice? We're pretty much done, but do you have any last words for aspiring authors, illustrators, someone that wants to get into this crazy business?
Yeah, I think my top three pieces of advice is: number one, believe in yourself. Believe that you can do it. Believe that you're growing into the person. You're not that person now, but you're growing into that person, and it just means believing in yourself. Number two is find a good mentor. Find someone else who's done it, so that way you can take a shorter path to your learning. And number three, as we said, is then you got to do the work. No one. It's not going to happen on its own. You have to definitely try. Failure is going to come along the way, and you got to keep going. But those are my top three: is believe in yourself, find a community, find some mentors, and then just start doing it.
That's awesome. Very simple,
Yeah.
and I think people want to bypass it, but that's great advice. Ari, thank you so much for being here. And it was good to touch base with you and talk again.
Yeah. Thank you, Joan, for the invitation.
And thank you everyone for watching today. Like I said, everything will be in the description. And so check out the description, check out Ari's links, and get a hold of him if you're interested in writing, illustrating, or if your kids are interested. He's got some great resources. Thank you for watching.